A double signing on deadline day, and Latte finally making his long-awaited trip to the MLS. Let's look back on Boro's transfer window, and if looking back in hindsight, has it actually been a good one? What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to be looking back at Boro's January transfer window, which in the end was so much busier than what we ever expected it to be. We had numerous huge incomings with Travers, Giles, Edmondson becoming a permanent signing, Morgan Whittaker, and of course the two deadline day signings of Ling Jr. from Aston Villa on loan, and Kelechi Iheanacho moving from Sevilla on loan until the end of the season. We had lots of senior outgoings as well, going the other way. Isaiah Jones, of course, left for Luton. Matt Clark went to Derby. Micah Hamilton went on loan to Stockport. We also let Alex Gilbert leave on loan. He's gone down to League One to play for Charlton. Matthew Hoppe finally left. He is alive and he has left. He's gone to a league in Denmark, I believe. We are also awaiting the departure of Lucas Engel, who we believe is well on his way to FC Cincinnati. And finally, yesterday it was announced that Emmanuel Latte has made and completed his move. A record move for both Boro making the sale and the MLS, a record move to Atlanta United. So, on screen is a graphic of what Boro's squad now currently looks like, and we're going to sort of work from bottom to top, really. And instead of going through each individual incoming and outgoing, we could be here forever discussing every single individual who's come in, every single individual who's gone out. We've already touched upon it in numerous videos we've done throughout the transfer window, so I think the easiest thing to do is to just run through every department of Boro's team and basically make a judgment on if January has left us stronger, weaker, better, worse, and then we can sum up the whole window, I guess, at the end. So let's start off at the bottom in goal, and of course we have made just the one incoming in goal, and that is that Mark Travers has joined us from Bournemouth on loan. Now this, for me, and we're starting at the peak here, we're starting at the top, this is as good as it's going to get in this window. For me, this is the signing, as I say, that I wanted. Mark Travers, an outstanding goalkeeper, lots of experience, promotion experience with Bournemouth, played in the Premier League as well. I think it's a great signing to bring him in. Now, of course, a big reason as to why he's come in anyways because of the injuries we've got. Obviously, Dieng and Bryn, our former number 1 and 2, are injured anyway for a long time now. So we were going to need a goalkeeper anyway, but not only for depth reasons, but I think just for quality reasons, we needed a better goalkeeper, a more reassured goalkeeper who we could trust. Boro have one of the worst goal prevention numbers and save percentage numbers in the whole championship. So for me, it was an area we simply had to upgrade, regardless of the injuries we had in that position or otherwise. So Mark Travers was the one signing I wanted more than any other, and one of the areas of the team we simply had to upgrade more than any other. So that, I think, still is the signing of the window for me. And I'm delighted we now have, I would say, a more top-end championship goalkeeper. As for the defence, though, and this is where question marks start to get asked of this transfer window. Now, of course, the two incomings, again, I forget about Edmondson because he was kind of already here, but we've made Edmondson permanent. In terms of an incoming, Ryan Giles, of course, has joined at left back. Engel is going to go out the door, so numbers-wise, we're like for like at left back. But we have lost a centre-back with Clark leaving and him not being replaced. And I feel like this is the first of a few major oversights by Boro in this transfer market. Now, before I sort of criticise any of Boro's transfer negotiations or any of the moves we did or didn't make, I do want to just lay it out that I understand January is a very, very tough window, and I know in some of the other areas Boro did try to fill up some of these gaps that I think we have been left a little bit exposed in. However, weirdly, centre-back was not one of them. And this is something I am baffled by. I don't understand why we've let Matt Clark leave and not replaced him. I just don't get it. Now, if Clark doesn't want to be here, I'm all for moving him on. You know, at the end of the day, you only want players who want to be here. But the fact that Michael Carrick was asked, I think in his pre-Sunderland match presser, you know, are you concerned about the lack of centre-back options? He said no, and I don't understand it. I really, really don't get it personally, because we have now been left with only 3 fit centre-backs, and with Boro's injury record being as bad as it is, especially between Rav and Fry, who've been in and out of the team all season, I do not feel comfortable at all with just Rav, Fry and Edmondson. Obviously, Lenihan, we believe's out for the season as well. I feel like we've left ourselves really light in this area. And Edmondson himself, as I say, I don't know why he started against Sunderland. I don't think he's a starting top-end championship centre-back. You've got to start with Rav and Fry. But the depth behind them, the depth isn't great. And if we get a couple of injuries, we're screwed as well. Because if one of them two's out, you bring Edmondson in, I think the quality of the centre-backs drops. You might have to bring Ayling back across into the central area. And then you're left with only Dijksteel at right back. So we've left ourselves very light in defence, and I'm very surprised by that, just in terms of depth. But then going back to what we've just been saying about the goalkeeper, it's not just depth that was an issue, it was the quality. And that's why I'm glad we brought Travers in anyway, but the quality of Boro's centre-backs is a real concern. You know, we have seen how many goals we've conceded this season, and whether it's down to the style of play, whether it's down to Carrick, whether it's down to individuals just doing stupid things, I think there's an argument that players in this team are not good enough to play the high-risk level of football that we do play from the back through the thirds. The amount of errors and times in games we plough ourselves into trouble, and the goals we've conceded from our own errors, we're the top of the league for that. So I think we needed to bring another centre-back in anyway who's a bit more comfortable to play the way we play. Edmondson's not the answer anyway, and I just feel like we've left ourselves so short at centre-back. So if there was one glaring worry in this Boro team, it's not only the fact that we struggle defensively anyway, it's the fact that we don't have the depth there either. Elsewhere though, I would say left-back is a net positive. Ryan Giles coming in, I think, is better. I still, I'm not convinced that it's helped us in any sense defensively, but if you're taking out Engel and bringing in Giles, it's an upgrade, because at least Giles offers us something offensively, and we've seen bits and pieces already of him trying to get down the left. He made some good runs down the left against Sunderland, put some good balls into the box as well. So I think the offset with this, the defensive shortcomings we still know Giles has, I think there's more chance of him outweighing them with positives going forward compared to the other left backs. So I'm happy with that. That's, like Travers, a really good upgrade. But what I will say, the more I've thought about it, is that we have just sort of ignored right back. And I'm surprised, because it's been announced today, actually, sadly, and I want to just, take a moment to wish him well. Tommy Smith has announced his retirement from professional football. Of course, he was still on Boro's books as a right back and has struggled with injury for well over a year now, and he's simply not been able to recover from it. And I was lucky enough to interview him on the Boro Breakdown podcast last year, and he was hopeful of a return, and I'm devastated for him that he's not been able to make it back. So we've lost a right back there anyway, which we'd have seen over the last few months was not looking likely. Dijksteel's injured as well, which only leaves us with Luke Ayling. And unfortunately this season, I think Luke Ayling's decline has sort of been exposed a little bit. It certainly was against Sunderland. So I think even if we didn't sign a right back this window, God forbid, I hope we've got one planned for the summer, because we are going to be left with only Ayling, assuming Dijksteel leaves because he's out of contract. That's an area of the pitch that worries me, and I do feel like we're maybe 6 months behind schedule with that one. I would have probably liked us to brought in a more solid defensive younger right back with an eye on the future, to be honest, because I'm really worried about that position with only Luke Ayling there at the moment. Into midfield, again, this is another area where Boro had to improve, and we haven't. You'll notice as we go through the team, a lot more has been done in the attacking areas, which is all well and good. But again, does that cater to the needs of what this Boro team needs right now and the issues we have? Probably not. But yeah, in centre midfield, there was also a need for another Morris-like midfielder. We were linked with Glenn Kamara. He went to Saudi. We made a late push for Tyler Morton from Liverpool. So unlike the centre-back position, I will, give Boro credit that we did try and get another centre mid. We did identify that was an issue, whereas centre back we seem to just ignore it. But yeah, that's a shame that we didn't get one in. You know, we've seen throughout this season, without Aidan Morris, the level of this midfield drops like a stone, and we really, really struggled. So if we at any point lose him again and have to rely on Hackney and Howson or Hatley and Barlasser, I would be very, very worried for us. So I think it's more of a worry at centre-back, but I think we absolutely needed just a little bit more protection in behind Morris, because we're massively reliant on him being fit. So for me, another disappointment of this window is that we've not been able to bring in another centre midfielder like Aidan Morris. Now, if Hackney and Morris stay fit for the rest of the season, that's okay. But if not, we could find ourselves in trouble again. And then we go into the attacking areas where we seem to just love signing players. Michael Carrick and his focus and priority seems to be massively in terms of strengthening Boro's attack. And as well, you know, as good as that is, and I'm always going to be for Boro bringing in better attackers who are going to make us better, I still feel like we were already good going forward. We always have been under Carrick. We have to solve the defensive issues to become a more all-rounded team. So I'm happy with the individuals we've signed going forward, but I don't think overall in the grand scheme of things it solves any of the actual problems we were having in the first place. So starting on the right-hand side, obviously, we know we brought in Morgan Whittaker. It seems like all the question marks around where he'll play have been answered because Ben Doak has been injured. He's going to be out for the foreseeable, unfortunately. So I think for now we're going to see Whittaker playing on the right. He did move central in the second half against Sunderland, so I guess he can play either in the 10 or on the right-hand side. I'm not going to judge the signing yet because I don't quite know how he'll fit and what the purpose of him in the team is. But I think it's a good signing. I think he's got lots of promise and lots of potential, and I've always been excited about what Carrick can do with Morgan Whittaker. So that's a signing I'm happy with, and we beat a lot of players to him, so credit to Boro for that. Obviously, going out, we did lose Micah Hamilton. I've said that was fine, absolutely fine. We've seemingly replaced him with Illing Jr., who was a signing that come out the blue, but is one I am just taking the word for. People absolutely love this signing, and he's very highly rated. Boro fans were losing their minds over him, and I'm just going to follow the herd, I guess. I don't know much about him. He did play for Juventus a number of times last season, so for me, you've got to be a good player if you're playing for Juve over in Italy. And of course, he is a Villa player. They've trusted us with him. The relationship between Boro and Villa is a really strong one, so he sounds like a really good player, and his cameo against Sunderland was very, very good. So I'm very excited by Illing Jr., and I don't know what the purpose of him is either. You know, is he to compete with Bergsorg on the left with McGree out? Is he to compete with Whittaker on the right with Doak out? I don't know. But I guess with injuries on either side, he is a good addition. I think like Doak in the summer, we were sort of surprised by that signing, and we thought we were just stockpiling wingers and attackers for the sake of it, and then Doak ended up being probably one of the best opportunistic signings we've made in a long time. So Illing Jr. could be the same. So again, it's another good signing. I'm not going to say it's not. I'm happy that he's here. He looks really good. Does it solve any of the problems we were having before? I don't think so. Bergsorg was already doing really well on one side. Doak was on the other. I guess it's another option. Carrick's got more toys to play with. But for me, yeah, it's a good addition in the attacking areas, although we were doing all right in that position anyway. And then in the 10, we have let Alex Gilbert go, which is a surprise, because he was the only backup we had for Finn Azaz. Now, with Doak being injured, Whittaker might have to play on the right, and I don't know if Carrick's plan was that Whittaker was going to play and compete with Azaz at the 10, with Doak starting on the right. Obviously, now Doak's gone down injured, we need to move Whittaker over to the right, meaning there's no depth behind Azaz. I don't know who we play there. To be honest, I've not liked Conway dropping into that position. I don't think Iheanacho can play there. He might be able to play there. The only other player I can see being there is McGree, but he's injured as well. So letting Gilbert go out is an interesting one. I'm not too sure we are comfortable in the 10, especially at the minute with Azaz and his form being just so off it at this moment in time. You know, for me, I think we need Azaz in form, otherwise we really struggle in that position because we've got no one else there to come in and be as effective as him. So maybe Whittaker is the answer, but he's got to play on the right, or maybe we'll play Force on the right now with Conway fit, and we will have Whittaker as a backup to Azaz. I don't quite know. It just feels like we've got so many moving parts. I mentioned this on the breakdown this week. It's like it's all good having versatile players who can move from one position to the other and a fluid attack, but I do feel like you're at risk of playing square pegs in round holes if you do that too much. So a little bit of a worry that behind Azaz, when he's not in form, we don't really have anyone there who can do just as good of a job. And finally, up front, we have, of course, lost Latte, our top goal scorer. No denying that is a huge, huge blow. Am I sad that he's gone? Absolutely. Am I surprised? Not really. After the drama in the summer with Ipswich, we always thought this would have reared its ugly head again. The hope was we'd get it done a lot earlier. That wasn't the case. It dragged and dragged and dragged, and he has now gone to Atlanta United. I don't blame the club for selling him at the price we did. I think it's an outstanding deal for Boro and one that we simply couldn't turn down. And I stand by my opinion of if Boro were a lot closer to the top of the Championship, I don't think he'd have left. I think if we had a lot stronger of a chance of Premier League football next season, he'd still be here. But because of the position we've put ourselves in, I think that's probably pushed Lath's agent to turn and look elsewhere. So I think there's numerous circumstances as to why this deal has happened when it has. We've brought in Iheanacho as a potential replacement, and I don't know how to feel about Iheanacho, I'll be honest. For me, and what I've heard from Leicester fans and what I've seen, his best season was when he was playing up top in a 2 alongside Jamie Vardy at Leicester. From what I've heard from Leicester fans, he doesn't quite have the work rate to play up front on his own. So I'm very much on the fence. The jury's out for me on Iheanacho. He's not had a good few seasons. Is he the answer? I don't know. Is he an upgrade on Lath? No. I think it's a downgrade up front, if I'm honest. And when I'm seeing the likes of Adam Armstrong go to West Brom, a direct rival, and I'm hearing that Boro were priced out of getting Adam Armstrong, I am very disappointed Boro didn't push harder for that signing. I think they've definitely got a better forward in than what we have. So I'm not going to prejudge Iheanacho. I hope we'll get the best out of him. He could prove to be a good signing, but at the minute, the jury's out on that one. But it's a real shame to see Lath leave. And my only hope is that we can keep Conway fit and he can take over and carry the mantle as Boro's leading number 9. And if Iheanacho plays a sort of squad second-string striker player to come in and chip in here and there and isn't the absolute striker we rely on every week, I'll probably feel better about that if Conway's the one leading the line. But regardless, losing Lath and gaining Iheanacho is a net negative, I would say, overall. So up front, that's going to be an issue. You know, Boro scoring goals is something we rely on massively. You know, with the number of goals we concede, the number of errors we make, outweighing them errors and outweighing the goals we concede, we've got to score a ton at the other end. You know, we had to score 3 to beat Sunderland. We would have had to have scored 3 to beat Preston. We would have had to have scored 3 to beat Portsmouth. We'd have had to have scored 4 to beat Plymouth and Sheff Wed. So with the way this Boro team plays, I feel like we have to score a lot to win games at times, and losing Lath, it's only going to make that worse. So then finally finishing looking at the transfer window as a whole. So I think in some areas there's great upgrades and I'm very, very happy. I think Whittaker is an upgrade on Jones, Giles is an upgrade on Engel, and Travers is an upgrade on all of our other goalkeepers. So I think in all 3 of them right-sided areas, it's a net positive when you look at the players who've gone out and the players who've gone in. However, areas of concern remain across the back line. I think there's an issue growing at right back, and I'm shocked at the lack of depth we've left ourselves at centre back. I also am a little disappointed that we don't have any more depth at centre mid, even though we did try. And then in the attacking areas, I can see why individuals will help, but that wasn't an issue anyway. I am maybe a bit concerned that we don't have depth behind Azaz, and I'm also obviously disappointed that we couldn't have brought in a slightly better striker for Lath. And I'm only saying that because I've seen what other teams have done, and I'm a little envious, if I'm absolutely honest. But as I say, if Conway can step into that number 1, number 9 position, the starting striker up top, Iheanacho might be a more than good enough second striker anyway. And we might not lose out up front if Conway can hit the ground running and get back to the form and the goals per minutes he was hitting earlier in the season. So let me know your thoughts on Boro's transfer window as a whole. I just don't know if we've addressed the glaring issues that needed addressing, and that just makes me wonder if we're just going to see the same issues that we've been seeing anyway. We're going to continue to be a side who will score quite a few, but we're going to keep conceding a few. So is anything going to change? I don't know. The jury's out for me on this transfer window. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Your thoughts on the incomings, the outgoings, the players we've brought in, and any players that you wish we'd brought in. You know, signings you might have made, as well as players you're disappointed have left the club. And as always, subscribe for much more. We do preview and review every single Boro game on the channel and do news and transfer related videos as well. But until next time, guys, do take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.